Zach Ertz finished tight end number 5 last year, 74 receptions, 112 targets, 763 yards, 5 touchdowns, 19.65% of the target share in a split last year between Philly and Arizona. Thoughts on Zach Ertz?
I like Ertz in redraft leagues this year. I thought his usage rate in Arizona was very good. Now, part of it was because of the DeAndre Hopkins injury, so you might get a really good first half of the season out of Zach Ertz, which isn't a bad thing because in a lot of situations, depending on how you want to do this, you could draft him almost as your second tight end, get some run for the first few weeks of the season, and then try and trade him for a position of need. I think the target share percentage will stay about the same. I do think he'll see somewhere in that 19 to 20% of the targets while DeAndre Hopkins is out. And because of that, he is a great tight end to use the first part of the season. But I think you need a secondary tight end or be able or willing to play the waiver wire for the back half, because I think that will kind of deteriorate as the season goes on.
You know, the year that he went bananas in 2018 with Philly and he had over 1,100 yards receiving and over 100 receptions, still only had 8 touchdowns. I mean, like, that's just to your point. Like, that was his best statistical year, and he had 8 touchdowns. He's much more in that 4 to 6 range. That's kind of where he has hovered his entire career. Yeah, I like Zach Ertz too. And if you're going to wait on tight end, he's definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a guy that, potentially could even be in that 4th run of tight ends when they come off the board, right? He's coming off the board in the 9th round there, tight end number 10 overall. And I think he will return value on you, for you on that one, right? Like, I don't see him finishing really below about tight end 7, tight end 8 this year. So you'll get a couple of positional bumps there, I do believe. And if you're talking a 9th round pick, he can be a set it and forget it kind of tight end there. Has easier matchups than most of the wide receiving options out there in Arizona. So there is something to be said about that one. If the wide receivers are being jammed and having issues there, Kyler's not afraid to look at this guy and pepper him with targets and put 100+ targets on this tight end. And we've seen this year in, year out, when Zach Ertz gets 100+ targets, he does very well for you on fantasy.